So today we're going to be checking out the brand new Hugo Boss bottled Absolu. So here it is. This is how it showed up to me. No cellophane on this one. Full disclosure, they did send this over to me, but I also bought 2 bottles on my own because I'm going to be decanting it out. So if you want to try a sample of this, you can click the link down below and pick up a sample before you dive into a full bottle. As always, I'm going to go through this just like I do with anything else. And so you're going to hear it straight if I think it's good or not. I did have a peek at the note breakdown. It looks kind of similar to Boss Bottled Elixir, which I really like. And so if it's similar to that, I know I'm gonna like it. 100 ml for $140. So not crazy, but not cheap either. It's kind of falling right in the middle because we're having a lot of elixirs and absolus and things like that that are, you know, upper 100s, low mid 200s at retail. So really in the grand scheme of things, it's not horrendously priced. The other weird thing about this is there was also once a Boss Bottled Absolu before this. The bottle looked completely different, but this was a thing before and then they discontinued it and now they're bringing it back. So we're gonna go ahead and get this opened up. We'll see what we have going on. I really gotta be careful. I don't wanna drop it. Here we go. It's kind of just gonna do this and then that would just be disastrous if this fell over, but we're good. Here's the bottle. So it looks awesome. It has a gradient that you can see down here at the bottom, this kind of, what is that, an amber yellowish tint, which is more apparent in pictures. The way the lighting is set up in the camera here, it's probably not gonna show through as well, but it does look really cool. And we'll see what we got going on. Getting quite a bit of patchouli, quite a bit of a sweetness, a little bit of like an ambery and woody combination with the patchouli, which in this case is coming across in kind of a chocolatey and sweet type of way rather than like a super woody and earthy type of patchouli. It's creamier, it's softer, it's smoother is just kind of how it's presenting itself right now. I'm getting a smokiness for sure. Definitely a smokiness and a tiny, tiny bit of like a slight animalic touch, which likely is coming from the leather that's in here because sometimes it can come across that way. You know, something like, for example, PDM Latent Exclusive. It has that kind of smoky, myrrh, patchouli sweetness, with a slight animalic touch. That particular type of animalic note, I'm getting just a tiny bit here, not prominent necessarily, but enough to where it's somewhat perceivable. And again, likely just from the leather, which can be that way sometimes. So this is definitely different than Boss Bottled Elixir. And so that's good because, well, why would you want 2 of the same? So I am seeing that this doesn't have the same type of olebanum kind of approach that one has. Instead, this one has a significant focus on a smokiness and a leathery accord that you didn't really get from Boss Bottled Elixir, which is just kind of more or less on its own here in this case. So one thing I'm looking at here on the bottom of the bottle, I had to double check the concentration because this stuff is oily. So it is a parfum intense, and this probably isn't going to show up, but this is what the hand I sprayed it on, and this one is not sprayed. Probably not so much on camera, but this stuff is heavy, it's oily. I mean, I can feel it on my skin. So it is a true parfum concentrated scent. You can tell just by wearing it. Like when you move your hand, the skin on top feels slightly sticky, for lack of a better term. Like you can feel that something's there. So let's take a look at the full note breakdown. They do give us a bit more to work with this time. We have incense, leather up top. We have patchouli and myrrh in the mid. Davana and cedarwood in the base. So as I mentioned, we're kind of getting the vast majority of what's going on with the scent here in this snapshot. You're getting a smokiness from the incense. You're getting a leathery, slightly animalic accord from the leather. You're getting a bit of a chocolatey patchouli smell, and then some woods in the base. Compare that to something like Boss Bottled Elixir, which has frankincense, cardamom, patchouli, vetiver, cedar, and labdanum. It lacks the smoke, it lacks the leather. So I guess in a roundabout way, if you wanted to really simplify it and just give it a generalization, you could say that this is kind of a smokier, leathery, heavier take on Boss Bottled Elixir. I think that would be a pretty fair way to label this, you know, and I think on its own, Boss Bottled Elixir is something that is very unique as far as the designer market from the line, which not all of these in the line are what I would consider to be ultra unique, right? There are quite a few that are a little bit more mainstream level. Boss Bottled Elixir was a big step in the direction towards being exciting and unique and different. And it's going to be one of those things where, I'm thinking, how is this going to stack up against Boss Bottled Elixir for me, which I like a lot. And it will be one of those things where this isn't going to take place of that. I don't know if I'll necessarily end up liking this one better because it's different. It's not as simple as, black and white, right? There's going to be times where I'm going to want to reach for this when I want the added smoke and leather. There's going to be times where I want something a little bit more tame, and I would go for something like Boss Bottled Elixir. I do think that this one also is going to be a bit more challenging, to that effect. It has some textures and some notes and kind of the way that it's produced here that it might not connect with everybody. Not everybody's going to like how this one really lays down with how the leather is coming through, with the patchouli and the incense. Sometimes when you see the note of incense, it can be used in a way to where it might smell old, it might smell like a church, for something, example, like Bentley for Men Intense. People say that one smells like a grandpa, it smells super old because of the incense and cedar wood combination primarily, but that's not the case here. It's not used in that type of way. This still, to me, is a relatively modern smelling designer release that would appeal to a wide range of ages, but it just depends on what your preference is as far as your scent is concerned. Because this is definitely not something that is fresh and clean and soapy or aquatic or blue fragrance or anything like that, given that it has a lot more of a syrupy, sweet, leathery, smoky, kind of chocolatey smell going on. Not everybody's into that. And as it dries down more, I still am picking up on just a little bit of that animalic touch, a tiny bit, with the cedar wood as well, which on its own can come across smelling a little bit dry and a little bit smoky by itself. And then so you add in the incense too, there's a good amount of that going on. And I will admit, going into this, when I was looking at the note breakdown, when it was kind of launched or, brought into the market, I had a pretty good feeling that I was going to like it just based off of how Boss Bottled Elixir went and then based off of just how this one looked. This is going to be one of those deals, hopefully, where the price comes down a lot. Boss Bottled Elixir, I've seen it for as low as I think on sale for $60, $70, on average about $80. That's a really, really solid price for an elixir. And just on its own, a great price for a fantastic, unique scent. $140, it's not cheap, but I do think that price will come down once it hits discounters, and I would imagine that would be happening probably within the next couple of months or so. You would expect to see this one showing up, and I would imagine you could get at least $40 off of that retail price, maybe $50 off of that. That's a good chunk of change. So, you might not want to rush out and buy it at retail right now. You might want to wait around, grab it on discounters, and then you could save quite a bit of money. But I do definitely think this would be the type of thing where you'd want to give it a shot, get your nose on it, especially if you liked Boss Bottled Elixir. Now, if you didn't like that one, you might not necessarily like this one. And it's kind of taking that and make it a bit heavier, a bit stronger, smokier. And so do keep that in mind. I will go out and say that this and Boss Bottled Elixir might end up being a couple of their best releases within the line so far. Of course, Boss Bottled Intense, amazing. I'm a big fan of Boss Bottled Oud as well. Those are discontinued. You really can't get those easily anymore. And so in terms of what's in production right now, Boss Bottled Elixir and this new Boss Bottled Absolu, I think are going to be must-haves. And who knows how long they're going to keep these around either. Really quick, we'll see what people are comparing this to, and then we'll get out of here. The first one is obviously Boss Bottled Elixir, and we touched on that. Next one is Mancera Black Noir, which I have not smelled, but that does appear to be a newer one. Really cool looking bottle. Red Tobacco by Mancera. Not really getting that. I'm not really getting a tobacco note. I'm not getting any oud or anything like that either, really. So I think that's kind of a little bit more of a stretch. I mean, this does have a pretty prominent woody accord, but the tobacco's not there. It's not necessarily an oud. And then we've just got a few other random ones, like what's this, Parfums de Marly Leighton. So I don't really think that would be a similar. Carlisle by Parfums de Marly, not really. And then so on, just kind of more stuff. But that's just kind of where this one stands right now. If you do end up wanting to pick this one up at retail, I will link it down below because it is available for purchase now. If you want to try a sample of it, you can check out our website, first link down below, and pick up a sample if you want. We're adding to our website pretty much daily. We've got the new creeds coming in here soon. We've got a whole bunch of new stuff dropping. So if you want to try before you buy, you want to make some new discoveries without committing to a full bottle, check out our website, decantcenter.com. We've got some of the best prices in the game, fast shipping, free samples with every order. The shopping experience, we spend a lot of time on the website making sure it's easy to navigate, easy to get through. Everything's laid out in a way that makes sense. You can subscribe and save to items if you want and kind of have it as a subscription program. So a lot you can do to discover things and make this a bit more affordable. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Let me know what you think of the new Boss Bottled Absolu if you've tried it yet. If you haven't, are you planning on trying it? Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.